Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Mark Davison. Mark, how you doing?
Matty, I'm doing really well. It's a bit cold in New South Wales, but I just got back actually because I was away this week. I was going up north to Brisbane, and it's super warm, like 26 degrees. Awesome. Good vibes we hear in the chat. Look, it was so nice up there, and now I'm back to cold Newcastle and cold Central Coast. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, really good. It's getting cold, as you're saying there. And who have we got in the live chat today? Who's already joining us?
We have Daredevil, Eric, George, Patricia, and I think a few other people came in the top two.
Yeah, awesome.
And a lot of George.
Awesome. Well, Mark, it's been an interesting week. I'm keen to have a yarn with you about all things Pittsburgh Steelers, as we like to say, yarn down under, have a good chat. Now, before we get into the sort of different segments on offense and defense that Mark and I really wanted to get into on today's show, just before we got on air, Mark had started to have some controversial comments about one Pittsburgh Steelers offensive player, one Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. And it got me thinking, because I had a question I was going to interestingly ask Mark. So I'm going to ask you the question to kick it off in today's show, and I'd be interested to see what the live chat's got to say about it too, to be honest. But it caught my attention when I was listening back to this week's preview with obviously Jeff Hartman, Dave Schofield, Brian Anthony Davis. Jeff made a comment about, we're talking about leaders in the offense, to step up in the locker room, and, how Juju could be that guy that could really take it on their back, particularly on his back, and take the offense on his back from a leadership perspective outside of Big Ben, and provide a lot of leadership to the young guys. But that would require, him to focus less on TikToking and dancing on the logos and what have you, right? And then I want to get your thoughts on this, Mark, because we were talking about it really quickly off air, and then I sort of said we should save this for the show. But I just sort of got me thinking, and I guess we know that Juju took less money this year to stay with the Pittsburgh Steelers than to go to Kansas City and to go to Baltimore. But do you think that it's more palatable or more acceptable for Steelers fans if Juju continues to take team-friendly deals, but he's able to build his brand outside of the game, right? So if Juju kept saying, guys, let's say Juju's worth at the end of this season $13, $14 million a year in a hot market, and he said, you know what, Pittsburgh, I'm going to stay with you for $11 million. Want a lot of my salary guaranteed, signing bonus, and Steelers, we're happy to agree to all those contract terms because he had this brand going on outside. Would you feel more comfortable about the dancing on logos? Would you feel more comfortable about the TikToking? Would you feel more comfortable about the Instagram post that you were telling me about before we got on the show? Because I think that's the question we've got to start to ask ourselves, because you saw that comment, there around, he was talking about his legacy, wanting to keep it in Pittsburgh. Are we happy to keep him in Pittsburgh? Or are we happy to make it easier for him to stay by allowing him to do what he wants to do?
I'm not really worried about his brand. It's more about his character. That's what really gets me. So the reason that the conversation came up, there was an Instagram post around the Steelers said they put their logo up with the Steelers logo, and it says, "What player do you think of first when you see this logo?" Me, instantly, I think of Hines Ward, because that's when I started to watch the game, and he was a rough and tumble kind of receiver. Now, Juju wrote, I don't really want to pronounce what it is because I think it may mean something else on a certain urban dictionary. But basically, it was like a TikTok kind of let's go with laughable comment, but it wasn't really that funny. You have to be inside the locker room or in Juju's mind to understand it. Now, I didn't really get it. But why write that? Why write something like that and just not say a player? Buy into the franchise, buy into the Steeler mentality. If you've got 1,000 to 2,000, 3,000 players that played this game since 1933, and you want to make a little comment about nothing that only really appeases your TikTok fandom or to build that brand or just buy in. Like, all I'm saying is just buy in. So some members on BTSC aren't worried about him doing those little things. That's fair enough. For me, is if you're going to say those little things, it can be a big distraction, like it was last year with the Bengals, and he did all those Corvette dances. No idea what that means. I don't use TikTok. I think it's more for kids to have a bit of fun with it. I don't really understand it. And then he gets rocked. Like he got nailed, Matty. He did, didn't he? He got nailed.
He did. And look, if you're going to put yourself, and if you're going to put yourself out there, you better show up. Yeah. So I'm not disputing all of that. I'm just saying, if I don't disagree with you either, I'm just saying the question we've got to ask ourselves. And I know you said you don't care about the brand outside of football, but do we care about the brand if it allows him to make money and allows him to stay in Pittsburgh because he's not relying on that as his sole form of income?
Well, I'm not really sure. Look, like I thought he was actually going to be going this year to another team, so I don't overly know. But I know I just he keeps making these comments, and I think he's going to make another one for the season, and we're going to get now it's 50-50 on Juju if you like him or dislike him. And I don't know where I stand. I don't know if I like the guy. I haven't met the guy, so I don't know.
And this is the thing, and I like Ryan O'Toole's comment there around, I can't bring it up because we're having a bit of a tech issue today, but this is tough, gritty, blue-collar TikTok. One of these terms isn't like the other. And I think that's it. Like, this is the interesting piece around Juju. I know people are it's fair for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Like, we've been burnt in the past by guys like AB. But is Juju doing a TikTok around a car or something the same as Antonio Brown Facebook Living in the locker room? Is it the same as all the I don't know to say crap that like Antonio Brown put out over social media? I still feel they're like a different thing.
That's true, but like I've always said in my life, you go out of way if you want to be a bad person, you go out of your way to be a bad person. So this is to me that Juju and guys like AB, great athletes, but they're going out of their way to cause distractions. You don't need to do a Facebook Live in the locker room as Mike Tomlin is like swearing and yelling and stuff like that. And the same with Juju. Like you're a big star, but I don't really know. It's just the life we kind of live now at the moment, isn't it? In 100%. 2021. So, and we grew up watching the game in 2000s. Now it's going into 2020, and it's going to be different with stars like Claypool and Juju.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it comes down to, though, Mike. Would you feel more comfortable with it if he takes less?
Like less money?
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. This is a perplexing question, Matty. You put me on the hot spot here. I had to block someone there. So Joe Nobody was spamming the chat. If you can see that.
Yeah, I did. I actually just messaged. That's what I was just messaging you to tell you.
Look, Nobody, calm down, mate. All right, we're just having a friendly chat about our Steelers. Look, I don't know if he signs the contract next year. I'd be happy him to be here. But I said it a few months ago, a few shows ago. You've got to buy in. You've got to buy into the Pittsburgh Steelers. You've got to have Pittsburgh Steelers first. So we, as fans, we go and buy your jersey. We go and get all revved up. We all love this team, and you play for us. You do that first.
All right. I'll do on the flip side, right? So one thing that a lot of us at BTSC are pretty clear about, and that's that we don't particularly love the way.
Yes, George. Yes, we did. We blocked him like Dotson. Thanks, mate. Sorry.
What I was going to say is like, a lot of us think the Steelers as an organization could do a lot better with their social media. Like a lot of their social media is really old and it's not particularly great and it's not particularly, engaging for, anyone really below, particular ages, and it just doesn't really resonate. And like even Chase Claypool, like I occasionally watch some of his YouTube videos. They're not that good. Like they're not. Like I know he's got some followers. He's doing it. He's better than me. He's got a profile. But like, mate, like they're not that interesting. I'm not really interested in that. But I like a bit of the personality of it. And I think I like what Donald Nolan's saying too. Like it's a non-factor as long as it's kept off the field, what have you. I'm not suggesting, I do not think that Juju should be dancing on logos. But all I'm saying is if he does things to build his brand, at the end of the day, he is a football player, right? Like Peyton Manning how many ads is Peyton Manning in, right? It's so like it gets annoying after a while. He's building his brand in the way you used to do things. In 10 years' time, TV advertising.
He's not funny. I'm sorry. Peyton
Manning
is not funny. No.
That ad, the one where he walks through when there's like the insurance ad and there's like that village and he's taking it through that guy and the financial and the wealth planning, whatever. It's boring. But all I'm saying is that in 10, 12 years' time, the only advertising that's going to be around is during sport games, really, because people are flicking off TV. They're all on streaming services. And in those ads, you've got the big players like Pepsi, Doritos, Pizza Hut, like whoever, some of the other insurance companies and Big Pharma and that. And there's select players they're going to pick. Juju's probably not one of the guys that's going to be in there. So all I'm saying is that players have to find a way to make as much money as they can during their career. And if he does stuff on the outside of the Steelers organization, as long as it's not a detriment, it's not a distraction to the team at large, or he's not commenting on plays they're running or filming from the locker room, whatever, I'm just a bit more comfortable. In him doing it if we can keep him, he's performing and he takes less than what he might take elsewhere.
Yeah, if he's performing for sure, like he's a good Steeler. And I just had another thought too. Maybe that Juju doing all these things and just getting part of life and making a bank for himself is because, it's good to keep yourself busy, and maybe he's a little bit bored and things of that nature. But when it does reflect the team and he's out there on the logos, yes, we were winning at a certain stage. And the comments about the Browns are the Browns. Look, the Browns are the Browns, but you don't want to give them fuel to the fire. You got to manage those certain things, and sometimes it's better just to say nothing at all. I'll bring it back to what I watched this morning about the Dan Moore interview with the offensive tackle. He's just ready to go. He just talked football and he just wants to play hard hitting football, and he's just ready. There's no real nonsense about it. And we also had a discussion before, and I think it's come up a few times. Receivers can be known as those diva products. So,
and that's what comes into as well. Like, there's a certain level of ego that you have to have, right? Like at the end of the day, let's go out and play that sport, play through the middle, get thumped. Like it's like boxers, UFC fighters, and what have you. Like there's a certain amount that they've got to like feed into that, so they get that alpha on for some of these guys. So I just wonder. I just wonder whether it's all right. I think we've got some. Should
we go into another realm, Matty? What is happening today? I'm not even going to read that comment, but yes, we are quite knowledgeable about our Steelers, and we love our behind the steel curtain family here. We have like Snowman, Bad Itch, a lot of cool people. So yes, we do. Upside down. We know what's going on.
And I want to give a shout out, actually. I owe him a response, but I saw Shield 91 in the live chat as well. Shield sent me a really nice message recently on Twitter, so thank you, Shield. Good to see you in the live chat. I know you often are running during our show and have to listen to it back, so good to see you. Good to see you in there as well. The other thing that you were talking about there, though, Mark, is like I said about this diva aspect, and I think it's really interesting because you have players, and you mentioned to me as well, like before we went on live on air, and then when you talked about Juju's comment from Instagram on the logo around like guys like Lynn Swan and Hines Ward, and a lot of those guys sit there and say, wow, if there was phone cameras in our day, imagine all the mischief that people would have been able to be revealed, kind of thing, and all the trouble they've been in. So I just think it is a bit of a different, it's a bit of a different era. That's all I'm saying. So and I think as Pittsburgh Steelers fans too, we have been burnt. So I think a lot of people are like, kind of pull it together.
AB was a hard one for us. Like I've got his jersey. He was an absolute awesome player. But then it comes down to they're still a human being, and then what they do is, he went a bit haywire near the end, but he was a great Steeler. So it just, we're all people. We all make mistakes. However, when it starts to affect the team, I'm not saying Juju's going to affect the team crazily, but when it does, that's when it becomes an issue. And like someone's in the live chat as well, Mike Tomlin said, "Hey Juju, man, enough's enough. Like." Let's go. And Mike Tomlin won't deal with that. We know that with our Steelers. If something crazy happens like that, then they'll they'll be gone next year, or it's just not the Steeler mentality way. Even though we are heading into a more of social media aspect of idea of life, and we use our phones all the time. So you've got to just compromise your brand and the Steelers brand. And I still think the Steelers brand has to be number one no matter what.
Yeah, and that's it. As long as he's committed on the field. But I just think if he's playing well, he's doing what he needs to do, he's performing, as long as it's not a distraction to the wide, like too much of a distraction to the wider team, a bit more comfortable with it. But that's it. Like, you hit it there, Mark. Like, the Steelers offered him a deal. I am sure in those negotiations, it was like, Juju, this is what we expect. This is what you need to deliver. And equally, Ben's coming back to win. Ben's not coming back to have a season like last season. Alualu didn't, come back to not win either. Like, there's some guys in there that, Cam Hayward, DeCastro, they've got a couple of years left. It's time to win a Super Bowl, and they're not going to let Juju be that distraction. And I don't think he will be. I think he'll do it for Ben. He keeps talking about Ben being his quarterback and coming back to play with Ben. I think if they ask him to pull his head in, I think he'll do it. So I think that's the sort of interesting piece there. But it relates exactly to what I was going to bring up in this week's Sling and the Slang. So as always, just like Ben likes to sling the rock, we like to sling the Aussie slang. Mark, what have you got for the listeners this week?
Look, because I went to have you been to Queensland, Matty? Up north?
Yeah, heaps of times.
Have you been to Brisbane, Gold Coast, Cairns, all that?
Oh, I haven't been to Cairns. I've been to Cairns, but I've been to Brisbane, Gold Coast.
Cairns would be nice. Well, you know how they have like the old cane toads up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't go into a par 9 and see how far you can sling them. But it just came across my mind while I was up there. We drove up from Sydney. So Sydney to Brisbane is about 10 hours. So we went and saw Crofts Harbour along the way. But my slang this week is, if you've heard of it, hit the frog and toad.
Yeah, I have heard that one.
So basically, look, that just means hit the frog and toad means, does it mean just hit the road? Like we're just ready to go. So, and that's more of a Queenslander thing, I think, than a New South Wales thing. I can't really say that I've ever said, "Hey, do you want to hit the frog and toad?" Like, it doesn't. But
some people say like, "Let's hit the frog," or some people say, "Let's hit the toad." I knew a guy once that used to say, "Let's hit the toe." We were like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, hit the toe, like you got to go, and we were like, "That's not the same, mate."
Did he speak like 2-word sentences, like a bit like I do? Where you just kind of hope the other person knows what they're talking about?
Nah, he was actually like someone that's like quite senior in business, and it's just funny that he never really picked that up. So it's funny how things change. I think the Americans call that telephone. We call that another name down under, but it's not exactly politically correct, so we can't say that one on air. So I was thinking, with the way you were talking about Juju, I don't know if we've said this one before. I feel like we kind of have when we were back only on the podcast side of things, not the YouTube side, but carry on like a pork chop.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So often we'll say that if someone's being overly dramatic or throwing a tantrum or a hissy fit or whatever, we'll just say, stop carrying on like a pork chop. I don't know where that comes from. My dad said it to me all the time growing up, so it's definitely one that I'm really aware of. I know. Have you ever been called a pork chop, Mark?
Oh, I've been called that in a few other things as well. But that's relatable. And look, this conversation only became of the Instagram post and the idea of like Juju saying that one phrase to do with TikTok. But in my mind, I'm like, just give the Steelers a bit of just say a Steelers player. Do you know what I'm saying? Like who? Like, do you see where I'm coming from? I'm a bit riled up now, but just say. Yeah,
you're carrying on like a pork chop.
Just don't say this TikTok weirdness or whatever it is. Just say James Harrison. Say Lynn Swan. Say Big Ben. Say all these things. Like, why do you have to make it about you? That's what he did. He made it about himself, and the comment was a silly comment to make people laugh, and it wasn't that funny. Just say a player. Rant over.
I know. That's maturity. I think that's and this is what it is. But this is a really good point you make, Mark, there, though. I can't believe how much time we spent talking about this Juju one. But I think there's doing the TikToks and like creating the content, building a brand, and there's being mature. And I think that's where Juju's got to get it together. But I will say this, it does not excuse like the poor behavior of a lot of, some players and what have you, and just, guys in general and women in general. But The male frontal lobe does not develop till you're 25, and I, from my own experience, know that like some of the maturity that comes around with that. So, and Juju is pretty young. But I think there's a super chat from Shield.
Yeah, so we got a super chat here from Shield 91, one of our mates. He says, question, if you could go to a Steelers game with 2 BTSC staff besides each other, good one, Shield, who would they be and why? I'll let you go first, Matty. Who would you go besides me, or who would you go?
Shield. Who says that I want to go to a game with Mark?
Mate, come on. Come on, mate. It'd be the best.
It would.
I'm going.
Mark and I would have the best time. Honestly. And I think it would be funny if Mark and I went with the other BTSC guys. I don't think they'd get half the banter, half the stuff we were saying. It would just be too funny. So, good question though.
It's a great question. Who would you be your 2?
I need some time to think about this.
We're going to
Mark. Who would you go with?
Firstly, to be very honest, I'd take Bad. Or I'd go with Bad for one of my fellas.
That's right. We're gonna the team.
Matty, you're starting to sound like a robot here. Is your internet going all right? All right, guys. Matty's having some technical. Are you back, Matty? You still there? Let me just try this, guys. Just be patient for 1 second, guys. I'm going to remove him and then get him back in. Welcome back to the show, Matty. You there?
Oh, Mark, I think you've lost you there.
We're having some really. Is it straight? I think Australia might be losing our internet. Back? Am I back? All right, behind the steel curtain, we're having some technical problems right now with our internet. Ryan says here in the chat, Lance internet. Yeah, something is really happening here. I'm not too sure. So I hear from the live chat. We'll continue the show and see how we go. Mark D is good. Matty P is freezing. So if everyone can hear me, I'll address this question to hopefully our audio listeners are still there. That was a little bit of a hiccup, but we're going to carry on with the show and see how we go and see if Matty comes back in. He's frozen on my screen, but we'll see what happens. I do not have 99 dial up in our modem we used to. Now, for that question, Shield, Steelers game for the who would I take from BTSC staff besides each other? I firstly would take Matty's just dropped out for a little bit. I firstly would take Bad. Bad would be a great bloke to go with. And he's also the kind of guy when I was in the live chat and I was talking to you guys and I'm in the live chat all the time. He was the guy I reached out to start this podcast and to talk Steelers football. He's a bit of a larrikin. I would love to go with him. Yeah, and who else would I take? You know what? I might even go with Dave too, because Dave's quite knowledgeable with his stats. So I think those two together would be like my bigger brothers or an uncle of some sort, and maybe go to the game, have a few beers. Yeah, Steeler Chick says here, 46. I would take Bad and Big Bro Sco. That's the other brother, so that would be cool too. And just while we'll head into a break into a few moments and recap things, but Matty seems to have gone, so I'll try and get him back the best I can. So hopefully that answers your question, Shield. I'm going to another super chat, turning into a one-man show. I believe Matty's internet just went kaput. It was gone. Okay. So I have a super chat here from George. So George, $5 says, how would you guys say, hey, take care of your friend, he's drunk? I'm not really sure, George. Hey, take care of your friend, he's drunk. I don't know. I guess we'd just say it in a normal Australian accent. I'm not really sure. That would probably be actually, if I ever I've been to Pittsburgh 3 times. But that was probably me overseas in Pittsburgh, and they might not take care of me. I never get too crazy, but I like to have a few beverages watching the game, and it's a good time down in the south side. And Steelcheck says here, Tony would be great too. I think Tony's been to a few games, and Tony going to games as well. Sorry, and Tony's been to a few games as well. And he actually, I talked to him the last time when he was on the show. He lives around the corner, so for me being in Australia, like it's 15 hours away via plane. So we normally go 14 hours. We go to Dallas, and then we'll drive up from Dallas to Pittsburgh, and it's just such an amazing feeling to be in that stadium. And then you're just part of it. Like I said, so I've been to the Steelers versus Ravens on Christmas Day, and it was the best experience of my life. I couldn't put anything past it. Maybe the next best thing might be my wedding day coming up if I ever get married. But yeah, look, Tony would be awesome. He's quite knowledgeable. He's quite fun. The whole BTS staff here is really fun. You've got everyone. You got Jeff, Michael. We all have our own different little things. We've got 2 Australians, a Canadian, and the rest of the guys are American. So I'm trying to get Matty back here in just a moment. But before I do, we might take a little bit of a break for the audio side. And on the YouTube side, please stick around. I'll try and get Matty back in. If I can't get Matty back into the show, the internet is if kangaroos have been eating his internet, I'll have to just carry the show on solo, and we'll see what happens. We'll refer more to part 2 on question and answer. So we can ask me about the Steelers, ask me about Australian lifestyle, ask me about anything. I'm pretty knowledgeable of the Steelers, so we'll see how we go. So stick around, guys. Just hang on we'll have a extended break on the YouTube. I'll try and get Matty back in, and if I can't, we'll do part 2 solo. Cheers, guys. Stick around. Matty, you back?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Matty. We're not live yet. I took an audio break. We're on YouTube though, but you'll keep freezing. All right, I'll have to make an executive decision. I'll have to kick you. Sorry. All right. Matty's not there again, so let's kick him. Welcome back to Behind the Steel Curtain and Steelers Touchdown Under. I'm your host today, Mark Davison. In the first part, hopefully you got some good information out of that. We talked a little bit about Juju and where he fits with the team and what his leadership and mentality to do with his brand and the Steelers brands. Also, near the end, I hope you stuck around for a little bit there as well. Had 2 super chat questions. Matty's internet's playing up, so let's take the show solo just for now. As Portner Quimber says here, Matty is just staring into the blank screen. Yeah, no idea what's going on with the internet, but hey, look, let's talk some Steelers. What did everyone think about the OTAs? Organized team activities. There was one thing because I was away up in Brisbane, so I didn't have too much. I wasn't really a part of the live chats the last week. So my thoughts on the OTAs were, my thoughts on the OTAs. I did see a few videos with the quarterbacks throwing the football. Big Ben threw a massive dime to Najee Harris on the route there. However, these are balls that they're not getting rushed by any defense. They're just getting their mechanics warmed up. They're just starting to play football, and I know it's an exciting time. It's a very exciting time. So in America now, it's coming into your summer, I believe. We're in our winter. We're wearing our jumpers. Yeah, like it's a fun time. I remember even seeing on the video there was Rudolph, Josh Dobbs, and Haskins there as well. So they're all starting to sling the rock. So we have we'll start to go into more Q&A because Matty's not here. He's still frozen. He just left the screen again. All right. So Donna Nolan. OTAs. Jalen Samuels looking good, even though Wes will not like it. That's a fair point. Look, I know Wes comes into our chat. He's a great behind the steel curtain, a contributor here, but I kind of like Jalen Samuels. Now I could be wrong, but I've always liked him. I thought he's a hard runner. There's one game against the Patriots. I believe he put up big numbers. It just seems to be that he can be a one-cut runner as well, but he shows heart. He shows true grit. So if he's working behind Najee Harris, McFarlane, maybe he's a fourth back. There has to be somewhere in there that he has a chance to excel. I don't believe he'll get cut. Let's put it that way. All right. Who do we have here? Bad Itch says it's even more fun to watch you shake your head and laugh. Yeah, I'm a bit like Bad here. I can't multitask. So when I'm reading the chat and trying to talk Steelers football, and also trying to get my mate Matty back in, we're having a yarn. We're Steelers touchdown under with two blokes talking. Look, you guys do make me laugh quite a lot. Trivia from Nolan. I can't go back that far. And so what else do we think about the Steelers coming up? I believe there's mini camps and training camps. Now, for me, it's way too early because I know a lot of the mainstream media, is saying the Steelers aren't worth anything. I know a lot of the betting markets here, even in Australia, that the Steelers are third. I still don't believe that right now, as we sit with Najee, guys like that, and then the new offense, and hopefully with Matt Canada, that we are third. Like I don't understand. I might go into a rant. This might help. How are the Browns number one over us? And maybe the Ravens, but like we said last week, I still think on the other side of things, I think the Ravens are trending down. We have our mate Aaron in the chat. I don't think they're going to be a bigger threat as we think. And the Steelers, look, people are counting us out already. Yes, we went 11-0, but Cam Hayward came out this week and defended his quarterback and said, look, he's my quarterback. He's done well. Big Ben's done some great things. I don't think we're going to go under 500 or we're going to win 7 games. It's just not going to happen. So we have our mate Ezra with a chat here. So who do you think will have a bigger impact, Spillane or Highsmith? I think Spillane is the next Larry Foote. That's a big question. Spillane had that massive hit last year, 41 into Derrick Henry. Spillane got injured near the end. Also, Spillane had that pick 6 on Lamar. Look, I kind of hope, to answer your question, I kind of hope they both have a great impact. It's going to be fun to watch Highsmith on the edge. And where will Spillane sit? Is he number 2 next to Bush? It's Bush number 1, Spillane in the middle, and Highsmith. Highsmith going to number 2. Will he put up big numbers as well? We don't know. Hopefully, TJ Watt. There's one thing about this defense. I really want to see TJ Watt have a big chance in the playoffs. So recently, in the last few years, TJ Watt is a great player, but we haven't won a playoff game with him. So it's going to be good to see the football coming back on his side. And is he going to go lights out? And then we have a really big chance. So I still think we need to win at least one game this year to get a lot of fans back on the Steelers train and really think we have a chance to win. Look, it's very up and down at the moment. Sorry. Badage is here. And I'm sorry, audio guys. This is my first time going live, and Matty ditched me. Matty fumbles. Mark D scooped it up, headed for the end zone paint. Touchdown zone. Dave, I could be a radio announcer. All right, so we're heading into. We have Shield on here, 91. Which QB backup are you keen to see in preseason? Haskins is a complete wild card, but Rudolph is still there, and I would actually like to see Harry carries a game or two. It's a very interesting question. I still have high hopes for Rudolph. I don't believe that if a player's going to be in the team for 3 or 4 years, that I don't believe he's just dirt. He's got to be there for a reason. He's going to be number 2 for a reason. Rudolph played really well last year with the Browns, like in that versus that game. I think if we versed our starters versus the Browns there, we might have a chance to win. But I believe we only lost by 2 points, and I think Rudolph went 3 touchdowns and maybe an interception. So I think he's matured as a quarterback. He's starting to learn the game and to really get with it to know our players. Now, Haskins as well. I don't know anything about Haskins. All I know is he came from the Washington football team. Number 1 draft picked. Look, it's preseason as well, so I think Rudolph will beat Haskins out. And once he does, it's going to be Big Ben, Rudolph, Haskins, and maybe will Josh Dobbs even have a spot? Now, last year with Josh Dobbs, he helped out Ben on the offense, or just reading plays and trying to figure those things out. So it's very interesting, and I'll be very honest as well, because we are so far away in Australia. We only get a lot of NFL live like videos and chat, so it's always good. That's why I joined up with Behind the Steel Curtain, is to get your guys' input and just to see more of a Steeler lens, because they don't cover the NFL doesn't cover the Steelers here. They used to a little bit, but they really don't cover them anymore. And we have another comment here from Ezra. Says Julio would immediately make Lamar a real QB. Now, there has been reports as well about Julio Jones heading to the Ravens, so that would be very interesting. So Julio is just an amazing player. He's almost 7 foot tall. He made catches in that Super Bowl that the Falcons should have won. If he goes to the Ravens, how will he be used? Is he a block? He's not really a blocking receiver. Now, can Lamar take time and put presence in the pocket and really begin to move the ball his way? He's got weapons. Ravens have weapons with Hollywood Brown as well. So where does he really fit? Is it more of a buy where they take Julio and it's just a flashy player to add to the list? So let's look, and I think we can handle Julio. We can put Joe Hayden, or we can use our defense to rough him up. But the big thing is, if Julio went to the Ravens, then you've still got the Steelers defense to push that pocket and force fumbles. I don't trust Lamar, so that's my 2 cents anyway. And Donald says here, not with Big Al blocking for him. Exactly. Like, I think Big Al played well for us as well, but on the offensive line to do with the Ravens, this is the 1 year I've always said that the Steelers versus Ravens is always 20-17, 17-14, win by 3, lose by 3. I get this feeling that the Ravens, look, this is a big year. This is a big year for the Ravens and for Lamar Jackson to really put everyone like me in our place and say, I can play football. I can throw it 300 yards. I can do whatever I want to do and still run over you. So I think the Steelers have a bit of an edge this year over the Ravens. But like, what do I really know? I'm just a guy upside down talking football. Now, if you guys have any questions about Australia or anything else, or with the Steelers, and maybe what's next to come, have you guys ever been to? If for me, in this time now, if I can put my Aussie spin on it, what is it now? It's heading into June, so we're coming into our winter month, and it's your guys' summer. So we get a bit, it gets a bit colder, and then we really hope for, like, I'm waiting for August. I cannot wait for August to happen, because then it's the Steelers versus Cowboys in the Hall of Fame game. And actually, before all the madness was the CV-19, I was heading over to the Hall of Fame game to see Troy, and that would have been amazing. I spent all my big tickets. I had a 3 or 4 day event planned, and I was so ready. So if you guys can get there, or like can watch the game on TV, it's going to be amazing to see our Troy inducted into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, I was so annoyed that once all these things started to happen, that I had to refund my tickets. And now, for me in Australia, we're still under certain lockdowns, so we can't go overseas without permission, which I don't fully agree with. But I'm trying. If I can get over there the next year or 2, I really want to. But I think for the Steelers timeline, heading into mini camp, training camp, And it's going to be really fun to see what happens with our Steelers in this Hall of Fame game. It might not mean much to a lot of people, but we're still versing the Cowboys. And if we can beat the Cowboys and the Hall of Fame and do it for Troy, that'd be nothing better. And I guarantee you, with the Steelers versus Cowboys, there's gonna be about 70% will be Steeler related fans. And Bad Itch has another comment here. We'll try and jump in. I'm more or less, guys, in your living room now. I'm in. You guys are running the show, so I'm in your living room. Ravens have been trying to get a real receiver all offseason. However, any receiver with hands doesn't want any part of with offense with Jackson. That's it. With the Ravens here, it's a running team, right? So if you're a wide receiver and you want to be the show, how do you put yourself in that element? Whereas with the Steelers, we're trying to go back to more of a run-based team. Now we have five wide with Juju, Claypool, Deontay, Washington, and guys like that, and Ray. And then we want to use our running game for a little bit, but they want to bring in one flashy player and to see what happens with that. I really don't know. Where do you guys rank? Like this is the big thing I went through last week. Where do we really rank the Steelers? So they still think the media landscape thinks that Steelers are number 3, but I don't really understand that. If the Steelers are number 3, if Steelers number 3, we wouldn't be talking about them right now. We still have 34 people in the live chat. There is something this year that's going to come from last year, winning 11 games. We sort a few things out, and like Cam said in his interview, it's only one game we lost. We lost to the Browns, but something has to happen where the Steelers still have a chance. That's all I'm banking on at the moment. They have to have a chance somehow. And I believe Matty might come. He's trying to get back into the live chat, so he's probably been watching on YouTube as well. But yeah, it's a funny thing with the NFL. It just seems like the only good thing, or the only thing they talk about our Steelers is how bad they are, or there is a little bit of drama. We talked about it in part 1 as well. There was drama with Juju, but there really isn't too much news to do with our Steelers, which can be a good thing too, because we went through the whole AB drama. So I'm just looking to see, head them out into minicamp, and then I really want to see them just go pad on a pad and just hit each other as hard as they can. Now I'll try and get Matty back in here in just a minute, but if anyone has any other questions about the Steelers or my fandom or Australia, would be awesome. We'll try and get Matty back in here in just in 1 second. Matty, you're back on YouTube, mate.
Can you hear me?
I certainly can. Where you been?
Mate, I think I'm still having a technical issue. What I think it is, what I think it is, right? Because I've got internet on every other device, right? I don't know if you can hear me. Everything's in visually, right? But I know we have problems with a lot of our guests. Yeah. So I know we have a lot of issues with us on StreamYard. And obviously, today I wasn't able to access through our host portal. I had to go through the guest portal. I think they're changing, they're managing the bandwidth for guests versus hosts, because my internet's perfect. The computer is fine. And StreamYard, everything's becoming in slow-mo for me. And I've been trying to log in for half an hour straight. It's been blocking me.
Well, before we get back into the Steelers talk,
I'm out.
I've got Ezra here. Ezra says, I just watched Finding Nemo for the first time, Mark. Let's go swimming. That's a bit how I felt. Matty just dropped out a little bit then. So it must be the internet. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. My internet's fine. However, we'll continue with the show. We'll go for the next 10 minutes, and I'll start to wrap it up. But then we have a comment from Jeffrey Benedict here, another BTSC staff member. Jeff says the Ravens season is going to be similar to the Steelers in 2006, when they took the training wheels off Ben. Everyone said Ben wasn't accurate enough and was just a game manager. They were wrong. That's very, very interesting. We have Daredevil says Matty is borrowing Lance's internet. Yeah, mine's fine. I'm not too sure what is happening here. And look, just to start to end it, I still think at this part, and where are we in June? It's super fun to get hyped up around Big Ben and that big throw to Najee. I'm excited to see our Steelers back in uniform again. The dream of mine would be to go to training camp and meet all the fellas, and meet Jordan Berry and guys like that, and to watch them in their craft would be awesome. I can't wait to get a game over there as well. But it would be fun to be in Latrobe. I know even the Steelers have, a men's fantasy camp, which would also be interesting. Let's try Matty one more time. Matty, you there, mate?
Hey, mate, I'm on the phone now.
All right.
I don't know what happened.
Are we good?
It was like a parallel universe. Like, you started slowing down. I could see everything in the comments were coming in. And then
all right,
I raided the computer, I tried on the phone, whatever. My internet is, as I was trying to say before, is fine. I think StreamYard is like managing the bandwidth between like the guest and our usual host portal, which, I couldn't get into that this morning. So anyway, I'm back. Thank you for holding the fort while I've been gone.
Let's just say, so thank you to our audio listeners who have stuck around. We appreciate your fandom. And also thank you guys in the YouTube land as well. I believe we'll just talk some Steelers football the best we can for the next 15 minutes, and then we'll end the show. But if you've made it this far, you're a real trooper, and that just pretty much means the Steelers are going to win because our fandom is so high. And I might have read it on a little bit. I started talking a bit about Nemo because Ezra said he saw Nemo the other day, and that's how I felt. I felt a little bit like Dory, that I was just keep swimming, and we made it through. So we've got Matty on the iPhone. I want to get your thoughts, Matty, on this one question here from Steeler Chick, who says, what are your thoughts on Troy heading into the Hall of Fame and Dick LeBeau ceremony?
Mate, it's going to be epic. I mean, this Hall of Fame, this year with, it was missed last year. There's like, how many Steelers are going in? There's something like 4 or 5 Steelers are going in. Like, it's going to be a big Steeler fest down there in, Ohio.
I've lost count because there's 3 from 2020. And I think there might be 4 with Alan Faneca in 2021, I believe.
So you got Bill Nunn, you got Bill Cowher,
Troy.
That's
3, and then I think there's 4 to do with Alan Faneca too. So it'd be amazing.
I feel like there's one missing. Are we missing someone? I feel like we're missing someone.
There could be, but like
Franco Harris. Franco Harris.
Is he going in as well?
Isn't he going in?
I thought to me it was already only 4, but I could be wrong. Because when I was going there in 2020, when I was meant to go there, with Donnie Shell. Donnie Shell, did you name Donnie Shell?
Donnie Shell. Harris is already in there. Yeah. That's right. There we go. I always get them mixed up.
So that's 5. So 5 Steelers heading in.
Yeah.
That'd be even cooler. I was happy enough when I had my tickets ready to go. I was going to see Troy, Bill, or Bill Cowher and Bill Nunn. I was so excited, and then everything happens. But I can't wait. I can't actually wait for those 3 days just to see our Steelers versus the Cowboys. We can smash them. We had in the live chat before, we had who's going to be the quarterback, who's going to be your preseason guys at Rudolph, Haskins, Dobbs. So these kind of like string guys are going to be the edge, and they got to start to prove to be a Steeler, and then work through the ranks. And we got 4 preseason games this year, so we're going to test the depth as well. So what do you think about that? Who do you think that's going to be our number 2 or 3? Is it Rudolph over Haskins?
Oh, mate, we're going to have to wait till the preseason to see that, Although I saw a photo from the OTAs of Haskins working out and, the throwing action and what have you. And I got to say, he had that game face on. He looked like he was actually giving it a go. But, I mean, a picture tells 1,000 words, and we don't know the other 999 of those words.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well, because even with those things now, like I even said a few moments ago, we're only in June. So we're picking apart 1 pass or 2 passes we see on film from 15 seconds or 20 seconds. However, this is for me, if I'm a Steeler and you're heading into the new program, it's like going to a new university, or like you got to build the foundation from the bottom up. You got to go in there, you go and find your rack, your gym rack, your certain spot. You go and meet the ladies and guys who cook you lunch, stuff like that. You go and meet the fellas again. It's like the band getting back together slowly. And how fun would it be out there, hanging with the Steelers? And if you're a player, and if you're Big Ben, this is like, I'm back to work. Let's go. Like I'm. So take it day by day. And we can't say, Haskins had a poor delivery or Haskins didn't see that read. We're still in June. This is why we love to talk our Steelers. But for them playing, it must be an amazing experience. Like you would have been through sporting codes and I would say some of the funnest part would be training camp, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was always the build up to those first few games, though, when you come out of that training camp part, and those rookies will be really keen to sort of start to make their impact. And, you even think about a guy like a second-year player, like an Alex Highsmith or, Anthony McFarland Jr., like those guys that really want to prove and build on what they did last year. I think particularly McFarland Jr., he didn't really get to, show up as much as he probably wanted to. Highsmith's now taken over for Bud. I still think, a guy like a Quincy Roche, he'll be like coming out of the blocks thick and fast, trying to get that first sack as well. So I think you're going to see a real hunger in a Steelers team this year. Like the young guys want to prove themselves. A lot of the guys in the O-line like Kendrick Green and Dan Moore have talked about how physical, Clem wants them to play. But then you've got all the guys from last year that ended. I mean, the guys were 11-0, and they ended the season so poorly, through injuries and bad play and all the rest of it and COVID impacts and what have you, and the schedule catching up with them. You just got to think this year they're going to mean business. I mean, even last year, right? They came out of the blocks, pretty well. If you really think about it through, obviously they won 11 games straight, but through the first 5 or 6 games, that had, I think, a lot to do with Ben missing a lot of, 2019. So you just got to think, I feel like we're just building. And we've kept people talk about all these losses of players, and I know we lost your mate in Hilton, and yes, we let Nelson go, and who's still sitting there on free agency, and yes, Bud's left. But we've gotten better in a number of different positions as well, I think, from a prospect standpoint at least. I trust this Pittsburgh Steelers to be able to scout those guys. So I think we're building, and I think we're sneakily good, and I like that we're flying under the radar. I like that everyone's writing us off, because that's when we do our best.
I even believe that, we're talking about, this year. I even believe that the Steelers are heading into this year and next year. We still have a good team. I think there are certain parts of our team and our defense can carry us for a little bit. Even if we were to let go of Big Ben and have a new quarterback, I still think we have a chance. I don't think we're on the rebuild or we're on the arrow pointing down to a certain degree. I would like to see a deep playoff run. But there's a chat here from the Jerry Cherry Band. Wonder if there's any chance that we could get a song made up about Australia. What do you reckon? He does all our intros for the audios here.
He does a great job.
Oh yeah. Is there somehow you can put a bit of an Australiana twist in there? And although there's quite a few other songs that have the word down under in it. We have a super chat from Snowman coming in hot here. So let's have a look. Snowman, $5. Matty, who on the offensive line? This is a great question. We might head into this and then start to wrap up. Who on the offensive line? Because I got my thoughts too. Who on the offensive line are you watching closely?
Ooh. I mean, it's hard not to say Kendrick Green because you want Green to be that starter, I think, over BJ Finney. I reckon it's very hard to see the chat whilst we're talking on the phone. Like I'm talking through the phone right now, but I dare say if I said in the live chat who would prefer Finney over Green, I'm going to get no one. If in an ideal world. So Kendrick Green's one to watch, but I'm watching Chooks, right? Because if Chooks isn't performing, then that's going to put a lot of pressure on a guy like Zach Banner. And equally, it's going to mean that, Dan Moore's going to have to step up real quick. The actual player I'm going to be watching is Dan Moore, but I think they're going to want to ease him into that O-line. They're not going to necessarily want to bring Dan Moore and Kendrick Green into the same O-line and get going. My, I guess, hot take is that I don't think Joe Haig will actually make the final Pittsburgh Steelers squad. I think he's going to end up like a Wisniewski. And there's a few other guys still available out there in free agency I'd prefer. That's just me. But yeah, I don't see, Haig doing that much for the Steelers at all. And yeah, so for me, it's what are those rookie guys doing? I know I've given a bit of a Dave answer and sort of said a few different guys there, but I think it's got to be Kendrick Green because we need Kendrick Green to adjust. And I have no issues with him blocking at that center position. It's more, how can he spike the ball? How can he have the rhythm right for Big Ben? That's not something he's got a hell of a lot of experience in. But hey, if he can get that right, Oh, mate. Well, I think we've got a, Pouncey the second coming through.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Snowman's question says here, who on the offensive line are you watching closely? So my goal this year is to hopefully watch a bit more of the offensive line I normally do. I'm inspired actually last year with Dotson, just the way his character, his mentality, the way he talks about the Steelers, his passion, his drive. Actually, he's a man of a mountain, kind of a human being. He's going to be fun to watch to push characters over. I believe that how our success starts with that push up front and to knock someone over. I know the other guys on the other side of the football, they're massive as well. But I believe guys like Dotson and Banner and Moore or Chooks and those guys really got to muscle up, and they will muscle up. And I can't wait to see Dotson run someone over. Because honestly, we take it back to part one. If you guys have came from the start to the beginning about the leadership and what Juju says to do with the Instagram posts and stuff like that, Dotson's a no fuss kind of guy. He just says, "Look, I'm going to go out there and play. I love my Steelers," and that's what for me as a fan. That's what I like to see. I love to see them just put a hat on a hat, run them over, and it's nothing better than seeing that. Now, before we end the show, we have Dave Shipley here, $5.
Yep.
Says the Rooks better get in shape. Long season, even for the vets. We need everyone. What do you think about the longevity of our Steelers and their health?
I think he's 100% right. Take the running back position with Harris. Harris is not going to necessarily have the amount of snaps that we all think he will. They need to manage those snaps. That's a good thing. That'll keep him healthier, right? It's the reason why Roche is such a good pick. It means, you can spell guys like TJ Watt. I still think they need to get an elite pass rusher in there, in terms of, and by elite, I mean the best of whatever's available in that veteran market. I talked about that this week on War Room, who was available, sort of 5 different veterans there. But Dave Shipley is exactly right. It's why having 4 decent wide receivers is so important in Claypool, Juju, Johnson, and Washington. It's like why having tight ends, having a guy like Freiermuth in that can take the pressure off Ebron to a degree is really important. And Jalen Samuels maybe playing an H-back role, because I don't think anything of Gentry or Raider or it's Dax Raymond or whatever his name is as well. It's why having a defensive line core of Cam Hayward, Tuitt, Wormley, Alualu, Davis, Buggs is so important as well. So, even look at all those undrafted, cornerbacks and safeties that we've got as well. That's going to be really important. So Dave Ship is exactly right. We need some rookies to step up, and I think we will. And if they're worked in so they get some experience in the first half of the season, and they're able to learn from that, they've start to get some tape that they can evaluate at the NFL level, and they start to watch that. Hopefully by the back end of the season, we're able to really manage people's time, and then we go into the playoffs feeling a bit fresh, compared to what we might have previously.
Well, even for the rookies now, what if we go on a Super Bowl run? That's 24 games they have to play. That's a long season, isn't it?
Very long season.
If they're playing the preseason, they got to put the helmet on, and they still got to be part of the team. Heading into it doesn't matter what role you play. If you're coming in for special teams, or you're there for a few snaps, or you do 15 to 20 snaps, they're still part of the practice, the training, everything like that. 24 games, we go on a massive run. So the rookies will be important, and I believe there will be more of a rotation to do with our vets as well. This is the season, and Ezra, thanks for the comment. Ezra's even said it's a different year after the CV19 now, because how the coaching will be. It's a complete different ball game for everyone in the league, in the NFL league. Adding another game, the playoffs are longer. The season seems to draw out a long time from September to February. So when you're crowned as champion, and we say, we should have it every year, it's going to mean that much more. It's going to mean like 100% or 110 times more than what we think it is, just because we have the harder schedule. We have 4 games in the preseason. We have the 17 games normal, and if we go into the playoffs and win 4 games, that's going to be an amazing feat. Now, Matty, before we end the show, I'll get your final thoughts on today's show and what happened and where do the Steelers go next.
Look, mate, I just think we need to keep rolling. The rookies need to keep developing, keep watching, be excited. I know the guys on the preview the last 2 weeks have talked about the offensive and the defensive coaches and what have you, and I think that's given a lot of food for thought. It's gonna this season. It's gonna be really interesting. I really like, there's an interesting article on NFL.com right now around how Alualu was, and we've covered it, on BTSC. So all the information about Alualu is still there. But I thought it was interesting the takes they got from Alualu. And, we talked about maturity earlier in the show. And I really like the quote from Alualu where he basically said, look, I wanted to stay with my family in Pittsburgh. I upset a lot of people that are my friends in, Jacksonville. So I appreciate that. My family, there was a lot of mixed emotions. My family had to do the right thing, all those sorts of things. But it got me thinking, like, that's the experience of a guy like Alualu in the defensive line. And I think, we talked a lot about the O-line and we talk a lot about the rookie wide receivers and we talk about the running backs and what have you. But there's guys on that defensive line that are young and coming through. I forgot to say before, Loudermilk. You've got Loudermilk, Davison, Bugs. They're guys that, we got in later rounds that we're trying to develop. I really like Coach Dunbar as well. If those guys only improve by 5%, this season, the impact that will have on this Pittsburgh Steelers team by keeping guys like Tuitt, Alualu, Hayward fresh will have a monstrous impact for then keeping taking pressure off Highsmith and Watt, which then takes pressure off, the secondary, to make sure they're shutting down deep passes and shutting down the pass constantly. So you've got to think there's so many moving cogs, in the defense, not even to mention the offense as well. And, I'm really excited for what that brings. And I'm really excited, 3 months before we're almost hitting even preseason. But it's just every little bit of snippet of news or photos or videos that we get along the way. They're things to be really interested in and like start thinking about what they're going to mean. So, yeah, it's starting to really get me pumped now. I thought that after the draft there'd be a lull, but, it's just exciting to see how we're building.
Yeah, that's 100%. And I agree with you. I'm keen to see what Alualu play again and his maturity, mentality, leadership. That's what I think the Steeler team needs at the moment, to be a little bit like the Patriot way, a bit more structure. Still fun, but with guys like that, you got to bring in the young blokes, and they're going to play some hard football. But you got to have that mentality for a leader like Alualu. But Matty, I'm going to end the show because it's been a crazy one today.
Thank you. I was going to say thank you to everyone for sticking with us. I don't know. I'm going to have to listen back to it and hear the craziness. But you guys had no idea what it was like seeing Mark slow-mo, and then I could hear him, and then I thought it was Mark's internet because his went slow-mo and what have you. But yeah, I just got to say thank you to everyone out there that joins us live. You guys have obviously really made it a show today, and, apologies there. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to fix the host privileges for me so we don't have that issue next week. Because it does look like StreamYard's cutting the bandwidth there. And then equally, thank you to the audio guys that stuck with us. It's going to be an interesting show for me, interesting experience, because I missed half the show and I'm going to go back to listen to it, but then I'm in the show as well. So we'll get to see what that looks like. So bit of a crazy world.
I agree 100% with your thoughts. I apologize you guys for the audio guys on YouTube, and you guys are OGs for sticking with me on the YouTube. Just let me ban Josh for 1 second. Bye, Josh. See you, mate. You're gone. Is he gone? Oh no. But yeah, thanks guys for sticking with us. Been quite a weird show. Honestly, when the internet went out, I felt a bit like Sam Darnold. I was seeing ghosts. But we stuck through, and that's the thing. If I can put, what Matty said, things like this happen in our world, and things like happening with the Steelers. So if they go down 0-4, you got to stick with us. And you original guys, and the YouTube guys, and the audio guys, we love you guys. We love the Steeler Nation is here. So these things happen in our life, and look, you're still here. So it's great. We could probably go on for another 24 hours. We might do that one day, a live stream. But we've got to go and have lunch and things like that. But no, we appreciate that. Next time, I had 0 notes for the solo show. So Matty, next time, please tell me if you're gonna, go back out and start digging trees up or something. But hey, look.
You can't. Sometimes you're gonna get knocked out like Rudolph, and sometimes you're gonna tear your elbow like a bandit, and you're just gonna have. It's the next man up, mate. It's the next man up.
That's it. But I was seeing ghosts. All right. Okay. Behind the Steelers curtain and Steelers touchdown under. Go Steelers.